YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Black House Booking here with another video. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. So first of all, let me get right into the topic. When I use the words offensive, I'm gonna put them in quotations because it can mean anything to anybody. Offensive to one person might mean something different. When I was a kid in middle school watching some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, I wasn't offended. I'm still not offended now. If we just live in a different time period where you can't really do the things you did back in the day during the attitude and ruthless aggression era. So, I'm not saying, I'm not judging or criticizing, the WWE and what Vince McMahon did back then, because things were different, movies were different, music was different. But I just want to see what your guys' opinion is on this subject, and you let me know what's the most offensive, quote-unquote, character in the WWE throughout history. And the first person I'm going to talk about is Eugene. I think the character of Eugene cannot fly in today's world for many, many reasons. He was basically a man with a mental disability wrestling, and obviously it was meant to be a comedic character, but I don't think it'll be funny with the awareness of a lot of mental health issues that go on today, whether it be the spectrum, autism, or just mental disabilities that have been having a low IQ going on through the history of time. But this wasn't like a Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump kind of character where he had mental disability and he was overcoming the odds and blah blah blah. He was being made fun of. He was being tricked into doing things that didn't make sense. He was the joke, the laughing stock, the comedic relief. He was with William Regal, when DX would do things with him, when other, characters would interact with him. You know what I'm saying? He was a grown man who, in his right mind, and he was made to play that character. I don't think that could fly, and this is my vote for probably the most offensive. If you look at it from a different perspective, like I said, I'm not offended by it. It was funny. And I actually liked the character of Eugene because at the end of the day, that was a babyface character, but it's not like the character of Eugene will win the World Heavyweight Championship or anything of that nature. Let's get that straight. But yeah, man, I don't think you can do that now, man. With the rise and awareness of mental health and individuals who live with disabilities today, I think WWE would get canceled ASAP. But if we want to talk about getting canceled, I think The Godfather, you cannot do The Godfather. I think one of the last times I've seen The Godfather was like just a reunion special or something with the ruthless aggression era. Now, obviously, he played a various amount of characters. Papa Shango, him, Mick Foley, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, or the many different faces. They can switch personas like that. But man, the Godfather character, the whole train. So just look at it from this perspective. It'll be two people that will probably be offended by this. Maybe the black community will be offended by this because basically you have a wrestler that's a pimp. Why isn't there a white pimp or a Spanish one or Asian pimp? That would be the first thing. And like I said, I'm not offended by it. It was funny to me. But then the whole train, with the woman empowerment movement and everything going on with women's right, imagine coming out being some hoes. Now they tried to sneakily do this with the Funkadelics, with with that whole thing. They sneakily tried to recreate the same thing but tone it down. But people know what they were getting at realistically. But man, imagine today the Godfather came back, or they tried to make a new Godfather type of character, and you got some hoes coming out. And you're talking about, yeah, it's the whole train. These my hoes. Hey, you wanna wrestle? Especially with the stuff that happened with Vince McMahon. Boy, if they did something like this, they would be canceled ASAP. Now let me go down. Let me tone it down a little bit. I think those might be the worst offenders. But for as far as women's rights and the women's movement, do you guys remember in ECW when it came back, they did the Extreme Expose? I think that would offend a lot of women. The women, it's a contradiction because a lot of women are like their body's their choice. Express themselves sexually. But I used to be like, I don't know if I was like 13 or younger, I would turn the volume all the way down my TV and I would watch the Extreme Expose. It would be Kelly, Layla, and somebody else. They're basically dancing like strippers. And the gimmick was that Kelly would try to expose her top. But every time, like, her evil boyfriend would throw a towel over her right before you could see her nipples or something like that. Like, it was wild. I don't think that would fly. It would be, misogyny. It will basically be taking women back to the diva days. So I don't think stuff like that can fly. Even if the women are dressed very sexy now, they do various sexual innuendos every now and then by the way they pin, the way they do things, but it's kind of like it's empowering. But I think just doing something where, hey, strip, hey, have a bra and panties, do something like that, I don't think that would fly. I think they would get in big trouble, especially with the Vince McMahon stuff. They're trying to move past that, and I think Stephanie McMahon would not appreciate her husband or Shawn Michaels or Mr. Nick Khan, endorsing things of that nature. Speaking of people in charge, The Rock. The Rock, he sits on the board of TKO, and I don't think so. I don't know how Samoan individuals view this, but the Wild Samoans is kind of a controversial tag team to me because of what was being portrayed. Now obviously they probably had a say in this gimmick, but I could see how this gimmick could kind of be offensive. The Wild Samoans, and they were basically like savage Samoan guys. Now it would be different if they were just two big guys that were dominant, blah blah blah, but it's just the name and just looking at how that can be portrayed. That's like having two Native American wrestlers and they're called the Indians or something like that, in my opinion. But I don't know, because I'm not Samoan. I don't know how they really would view that. Obviously they take pride, and Wild Samoans is a great team throughout the history of the years. But I think if you try to do something like that now, I don't think that would really fly with certain people in the community. But like I said, I don't know for sure, but I could see that being a little controversial if you ask me. Let's go to our Irish folks. Becky Lynch, when she was in NXT and she came out with the very typical Irish song, the very stereotypical Irish get up, and she came out doing the little Irish dance. Yo, I think that could be a little offensive to Irish people, man. I don't think they would quite enjoy that, and that was like the early days of NXT. So you can only imagine how that would fly now. Obviously they got rid of that for a reason, but imagine an Irish woman or Irish man coming out with the orange hair, looking like a dressed like a leprechaun, and they're doing a little Irish dance. I think that could be offensive. It wouldn't be as offensive as Eugene or anything like that, but I could see that. Another Goldust. Goldust is a tricky character, right? If you try to do that now, it can't be done, because Velveteen Dream was pretty much doing that at a lower extent. Goldust was so revolutionary when he came out, because it was like people were calling him gay and stuff like that and making fun of him, but he was such a good character, and Dustin Rhodes is a good wrestler. Like, it was working and it was good for comedy. But I think if you try to do something like that now, it will be offensive if you don't make that person a serious wrestler, because the community, the LGBTQ community, I think they would view it as, oh, you're making fun of trans people, or whoever, androgynous, whoever on that spectrum that they would be trying to portray. Because like, what if they made him to be like a joke, like comedic relief, like Goldust? Now, they made somebody like Goldust and he was a serious champion, I think they'd be like, okay, we have representation, this is some good character work. But if you just like come out with somebody like Goldust and their like gender / orientation, sexual interest is supposed to be like ambiguous, and you make them a joke, I think that people would be offended. But that's just like where we're at right now. Like I said, I like comedy. Comedy is good in wrestling. R-Truth is a very good comedic character. I liked what Alpha Academy was doing at one point. I like, even the Bloodline, they would like have comedic breaks in between the serious stuff that they were doing. So you can't really say like, what I'm saying, that there's no comedy. But that's very tame, very toned down comedy. Even the stuff with the still trying to do weddings and still trying to do relationships between wrestlers and sexual innuendos and stuff like that is very toned down compared to back in the day. But my vote is Eugene. You guys let me know what you think is the most offensive character. Papa Shango could be one as well. I can see someone being offended by that. I mean, anything that will require targeting a specific group, anything with like face painting. Like I said, if there was a Native American person and that person was named the Indian, the Red, I think that would be hella offensive. Or even if you did something like try to make him look like bro from Mortal Kombat. And I actually like him a lot. Like you guys know what I'm talking about. Try to do something like that. I think that will probably be very offensive to people. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. They got some of the love support. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.